It is finally summertime here in Michigan, and next weekend is our July 4th holiday here in the United States, our Independence Day, which means parties, and it could be all weekend long. There's fireworks, there's a lot of lake time, pool time. It's really a celebration for so many people. But it also can become a major excuse to eat whatever you want, drink to excess, and really not be mindful of the things that you're doing for your health. So in today's Reset Monday, we're going to preset. Now, if you've been following this show for a while, you know that I love to preset. I love to plan. I love to be able to say, listen, I know that there's a holiday coming up or an event, something, anything that you might be celebrating. And if you can start to think about pre-setting for those things. Now, it doesn't mean that you get to be completely overindulgent, but what it does mean is that you need to be mindful. So each and every day this week, let's really be super mindful of what we're doing for our health, getting extra movement, extra water, eating extra clean, making sure that we are keeping our bodies as healthy as we possibly can, eliminating our sugar this week. Maybe it's 5 days of a detox until we get to Friday. And so many people think, oh, detox, oh, I have to pick a day. It's got to be 30 days and I can't start now. And there's always excuses. Listen, you guys, you can do a 3-day detox. You can do a 5-day detox. You can just eliminate sugar if you need to. And so what I'm asking you to do this coming week is just to be mindful of how you're living your life. The whole week does not need to be indulgent, because next weekend, I know for me, I have 2 big parties to go to, or 2 big events. And I will always, though, travel with my own food. And I'm going to talk to you about that in just a minute. What can you do to protect yourself? Yes, I said protect yourself, so that you aren't falling victim to a whole bunch of food that maybe you don't want to eat, but you're starving, and that's all that's available. I'm going to tell you what's actually in my cooler that I'll be taking to my brother's party on Saturday. And I'll probably do a video that day and show you everything in there. It's super yummy. But in the meantime, as we move up to this coming weekend, start to think about, where can you eliminate? Do you come home and you have a cocktail every night, or 1 glass of wine, 2 glasses of wine, a bottle, whatever it is? Maybe you need to be like, okay, for the next 5 days, I'm not touching alcohol. And then maybe it's, I'm not having any dessert. I'm going to eliminate coffee. I'm going to eliminate sugar. Only you know what needs to change. So many people say to themselves, I don't know where to start. But the bottom line is, you know what not to do. You know the habits that you should be eliminating. You know the habits that you should be paying attention to. I can't even tell you how many people I've even just said, are you drinking enough water? And they will say, no. And then I will say, why not? And I'm thinking of one patient in particular, and she'll giggle. And she'll say, I don't know. It's not a laughing matter, you guys. It is not a laughing matter. So when you have some kind of chronic health issue, even if you don't, even if you're trying to be fully optimized, pay attention. You cannot be dehydrated, especially in these hot summer days. I actually went mountain biking this morning for the first time of the season, and I made sure I had my electrolytes on deck. I had my creatine, I had my vitamin C, I brought extra water for after my ride, and I have been chugging water all day. It was hot this morning, it was humid, it was a 9.5 mile ride, so it wasn't a ton of miles, but it was still a lot of sweating. And so I was super mindful to make sure I was hydrating properly and putting the minerals and the electrolytes back in my body. So if you've been out, if you've been gardening, you see my garden back there, if you've been outside doing a lot of work, you have to make sure you're replenishing the fluids, replenishing your electrolytes, and not just in the form of Gatorade is one of the worst things you can be doing, but just think about just water. Squeeze some lemon in your water. And then there's that camp of, I don't like water. And that's when I say, I don't care. You're made of water. Learn how to like it. drink water. This is your Reset Monday reminder to say, let's shore things up for the week. Let's start being super mindful of each and every day. What can you do over the next 5 days that will protect you, that will actually amplify and optimize your health, so that when you go to those parties, if you have a cookie or a cupcake with red, white, and blue frosting, whatever it is that you like, that it is not going to completely derail you. Now, here's what I will be taking to my brother's party. And here's how the party works, is it's a potluck. So everybody brings something to eat. And what's interesting is most of the time, people will bring pretty decent food, but it's a lot of dips and, very heavy type of foods. There have been years when the table was mostly covered in desserts. So when you go to a potluck, you can't always count on there being good, healthy food. You have to be the one to bring it. So my strategy is to make sure that I bring food that I know I will eat. And I will take something for the table. I always bring a giant kale salad because it's summertime and kale holds up really well in the heat. You could bring like some kind of a slaw, something like that, but you don't want to take like a regular salad because that's just going to wilt and it's going to be gross. But when I bring my kale salad, it gets eaten, like it is done and gone within the first couple of hours. So people really do want healthy options when they go to a party. And wouldn't it be great if you were the one that provided that? So I bring my big kale salad, and then in my cooler, for me privately and personally, I always grill. I take boneless, skinless chicken thighs, I marinate them for a couple of days, throw them on the grill, and then I put them in the fridge, and then I chop them into like bite-sized strips. And those will go into a container, into my cooler. I will make hummus, and I can take my chicken and I can dip it in the hummus. I'll slice cucumbers, celery, maybe some other veggies, and I might bring like a couple of chunks of nice cheese and some good healthy crackers, some kind of a gluten-free cracker or a seeded cracker or something like that. So I always have really good, yummy, healthy food with me. And then people will make fun of me. They're like, oh my gosh, like you could sustain yourself from that cooler for a week. I'm like, I know. And they might laugh at me and they might make fun of me until they see all the food that I have. And then they're like, can I have some? I'm like, sure. So I will always share. Oh, and I can't forget about my homemade salsa. I always have homemade salsa on deck. So that's also a crowd pleaser. So think about something like that. If you just did some roasted or grilled chicken, something that you want finger food that's healthy, the cucumbers, celery, and then like I say, the hummus or some kind of dip that's healthy, and then like I say, some kind of really nice cheese. I like good gourmet cheeses because it feels like a really wonderful picnic. And then I'll have like a bottle of Prosecco or some kind of a really nice sparkling wine. And it's a wonderful little picnic, and we see fireworks, and I get to see people that I haven't seen in over a year. So it's kind of like going back to school. You get to reconnect with a lot of people that I don't typically see. While we can connect around food, it's important to think about what food do you want to connect from. Like I said, when I have that cooler full of food, people gather around me. So food brings people together. Yummy food brings people together. We'll sit and graze on my little blanket, on my little area. I have like my specific spot that I get every year. Put my blanket down. I set up like my camp, and yeah, it's really wonderful. So there's a lot of connection with people. And food is a vehicle to do that. So why not make it really amazing food? I always say I show my love and appreciation through good food. And so think about what can you do to protect yourself over this coming week, and make sure that you are up in the game. Show up to those events with some really good quality, healthy food, and people will be like, wow, that was amazing. They'll be blown away because it's not the typical backyard party food or food-like substance that they're used to seeing. So, all right, you guys, that's your Reset Monday for today. So if you like this video, go ahead and make sure you are subscribing. Share it with somebody who could use a little bit of help when it comes to how do I eat for the holiday? How do I protect myself during big events? And I hope you have an amazing Independence Day, 4th of July holiday, and I will see you on the next one.